It's another day, another podcast.
It's literally the same day. We're recording 3 today, so welcome back to Story Traders Podcast.
Oh my goodness. Some stories today about work again, because we all work and happens a lot.
Yeah, if
most days actually.
But shout out to you if you're retired and you're listening to a couple young guys just talk about
shooting
random
the breeze
stuff
about what happens at work.
Yeah.
So for me, I mentioned the greenhouse a couple times.
Yep.
But I don't know. Maybe people don't actually know exactly what I do. But maybe should I go into just a little tiny detail about it?
Sure.
Okay. So I started a greenhouse 5 years ago.
Holy crap.
I know. Isn't that crazy? 2021 was the first year.
Sheesh.
Right after COVID. But yeah, at the time I was working for another company. I was a landscape designer for them. And so I was working full time for them, but I built a greenhouse in 2020. And at the time, pretty much all my experience was growing perennials. So I grew a greenhouse full of perennials and then opened shop right off a busy road with pretty much nobody knowing about me except a little bit of social media, friends essentially. Open shop and boom. Now we're 5 years later. Got 3 greenhouses and
couple employees,
all part-timers. Very part-timers. But yeah, I guess.
Shout out to my wife.
But yeah, it was awesome because the company I was working for, they allowed me to go part-time with them the following year so that I could be open more than just Saturdays.
Yeah.
So I was kind of doing like 3 days with them, 3 days at the greenhouse. And then the following spring after that, I cut loose to them and have been on my own for 3 springs now. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
A lot of downsides to owning your own business, but there's a lot of upside too. Yeah. So try to focus on the upside.
Yeah. You get some nice flexibility. I mean, you work a lot, but...
Yeah, flexibility at certain times of season. May is not a flexible time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot of work in May.
A lot of moms who want to give flowers for some reason.
Yeah, I get it. I like flowers.
Yeah.
That's why I'm in this business. But yeah, so my 2 work stories are actually from like literally yesterday and today. It's very, very recent stories.
Super fresh.
Yeah, yesterday was Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. A little bit late to all you mothers. But Mother's Day weekend is like the biggest weekend of nursery season, period. Across the board.
Period.
Yes.
Moms love pedals.
Pedals.
Yeah.
That's not where
we're not talking bike pedals.
That's where I first went. I was like, bike pedals? That doesn't make sense. Petals of flowers.
Yeah.
Paddles. They like paddles.
Paddles and flowers.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a great weekend. Very historic for the 5-year-old business, which was exciting.
Oh, historic.
It was historic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Someone's going to get a coffee. Someone can afford a coffee. Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to make a joke. Yeah. Continue.
So anyway, I had several helpers yesterday, my wife being one of them. And I saw these 2 boys. It was like a pretty busy time of the day. There were probably like 12 cars in the parking lot.
Wow.
I know.
12.
The parking lot was full most of the day.
Wow. One for each month.
Pretty much full the entire day on Saturday. It was insane on Saturday. But anyway, so there was a lot of people there, and I saw these 2 boys walking around the nursery. They were probably 11 and 12. They looked to me like brothers, but they were very close in age. But they were like not walking around with their parents, which sometimes I have wanderers coming in from the walking
bike path.
But I
where the pedals are, the bike pedals.
Yeah, yes, where the pedals are. Yes, yeah, I said that right. I was wait, did I say paddles?
No, you got it.
But I didn't think they'd walked up from the path. So I thought their parents were around somewhere, but they'd like broken off from them. Mm-hmm. So they're walking around.
Did they have any of those like lost kid tags?
No. They didn't.
From the state fair? No.
To be fair, I didn't look for them. So maybe they did, and I didn't notice. But I should start that if I get big enough.
Yeah.
You come up to the greenhouse.
Yeah, it's like an acre.
Yes, you come up to the greenhouse and you have a little stand. Do you want to put a tag on your kid today if you lose track of them?
Yeah.
But no lost kid tags on them. So I was like, well, hopefully their parents come back because I don't want to figure out what to do with them.
Yeah.
But they were looking around very intently at the plants, which doesn't normally happen because most kids that age are not that interested in plants.
Yeah.
But they were like legit. I think I saw both of them with like their hands on their hips looking at the baskets and stuff.
Wow.
And I was like, this is very intriguing. I don't know why they're like looking at the plants so intently.
Yeah.
Time goes on, probably like 5 minutes later or something. I'm checking a customer out, and Isabel comes up to me. She's like, so these two boys over here, they wanted to get their mom a basket, and they only have $20, which doesn't cover the tax. Is that okay? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's totally fine. So they had come up to her.
We can get them in the back potting a few plants for a few minutes.
We can figure this out.
We got it.
So they had come up to her and asked her, do the 10-inch baskets have tax on them? Because they're $19.99, and I guess they had a $20 bill.
Man.
And she's like, yeah, they do. And they're like, oh, dang it. So like they weren't even like trying to talk her out of the tax or anything. They were just like so disappointed that they weren't going to be able to get their mom what they were trying to get her.
Yeah.
So that's when she came up and asked. So then she came up and was like, she's like, no, we don't have to do the tax. It can just be. And they were like, oh, sweet. So they give her a $20 bill. And I guess they immediately like looked around and they were like, I think mom's in the big greenhouse. We can run and put it in the car before she notices. So I guess they like ran over and put the basket in their car. So I don't know how like the rest of that story played out, but I could just imagine like maybe they even got home before she noticed.
Yeah.
But I bet the mom was like, did you pay for this?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we did. I swear.
No, I promise we did.
They didn't charge us tax, but
yeah. Oh, that's sweet.
I thought that was
a nice story.
so cute.
Yeah.
And then my other story happened from today. I was out at the nursery watering. Monday is my one day off of the week where I am not open. But I do still need to go out there and water so that plants don't die on me. So mind you, I have a closed sign out at the bottom of the road, and I have another sign that has all my hours on it.
People in the past.
No, it really doesn't. It rarely stops people, actually. Today was another one of those days because I had four people come in, and one of them, a couple of them were off Marketplace, which I never like. I don't know. Some people have ways of like finding my address, even if I haven't communicated what my address is.
Yeah.
And like now I've made it easy on myself. I put so many of my plants on Facebook Marketplace. I can't even tell you how much business it drives for me. It's insane because people just see all my listings, and it's gotten to the point where like I just made this photo that has like, this is my nursery address. These are my May hours, because people are always messaging and saying like, I want to check out your plants.
Hey, is this available?
Yeah, legit. That's what they say. Is this available? But if I could get over the annoying factor that people 99% of the time start conversations with, is this available? Then I'd say a good 60 to 70% probably. It's hard to actually get a gauge of how many people come out, but a lot of people come out and they're like looking for new places to shop, and they're like almost always very pleased with what I have. But anyway.
Well, shout out to Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg is.
If you're listening to this, Mark, thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, especially for free advertising.
Yeah.
I love not having to pay for it.
Yeah.
But so I had this lady come out today that had found the address, hadn't found the hours, so that's why she came out today. But so she's like, she comes right up to me. She's like, she puts out her hand. She's like, nice to see you again. This is not the first time I've met you. I'm like, okay. I don't know I don't know where she's taking this. I was like, oh yeah, when have we met? And she's like, I met you when you were selling succulents at probably your parents' house, and you had this little tiny greenhouse thing that you crawled in and pulled out all these household succulents for me. And what she's talking about was way back in the day when I was still working for a wholesale nursery. So this was like right out of college.
Yeah.
I was working for this nursery, and I was trying to do my first greenhouse, essentially, but it was not like a fully enclosed greenhouse.
Oh yeah.
It was
This is on the basketball
court.
Yeah.
Yes. So
and then it got blown over.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't blown over yet. I had a full season with it.
Right.
But I had taken plastic from that nursery that they were throwing away, and I had built a completely covered out of the free plastic and wood that was around the farm.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
And I somehow was able to keep rain from like actually puddling up in the top of it. It was crazy how I did that, but it like worked for growing succulents really well because you need a lot of sun, but you also don't want rain getting on them because it's gonna like rot them out.
Yeah.
So I had put all those like succulents on Marketplace. So apparently like late in the season, she'd come out and bought a ton of succulents off me. So then she said that she's been like looking at my Marketplace listings for years, and I guess hasn't ever like reached out to figure out where I am.
Yeah.
And then within the last week, she was like doing some digging on my listings, and she found the address and then was like looking at it on a map, and she was like, I think I know who this kid is.
Oh.
So then when she came out and actually saw me, she like connected the dots.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's the same person. But what's crazy is she said when I was selling the succulents to her years ago, she said that apparently I told her what my like dream was, that I wanted to
that's
like
fun.
that I wanted to actually have a small nursery.
You wanted to go to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh.
Completely not doing that now.
Yeah.
But
you had to settle for the nursery.
But no, I guess I had told her apparently that that I wanted to have like a small nursery on the farm.
Oh, that's
I don't know
fun.
how in depth
Yeah.
I told her, but she told me that. And so like for her to stop out for the first time, 5 years in the making, she was like very impressed with what I'd done there. So
nice.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is fun.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so my stories, I've got 4 short stories.
4 of them?
Yeah.
I had 2.
They're not even like, they're not as long as yours. Okay. They might be the same length just between all 4 of them, but they're just like small anecdotes. Okay, so most of these are related to Microsoft Teams. So just like texting back and forth at work. Okay. So for a little bit of context, I work for a Japanese car company. Okay.
Oh, we're not saying which one?
No. Not that I have a problem with it. I just don't.
That's fair.
Yeah. Anyway, so
it might start with the letter. No, I'm joking.
But it's relevant because culturally, the Japanese are very respectful to each other.
Well, that's good.
To the point where they basically like call each other Mr. or Mrs. or, Miss or whatever.
Yeah.
For like everyone. Okay. And
do they say Mr. Caleb or Mr. Bale?
Mr. Caleb.
Okay.
Okay. But
I like that.
But the way that they say it is with the word San. And they put it after your name. So it's Caleb San. S-A-N.
S-A-N.
Yeah.
So
Caleb
that means
San.
like
so that means Mr. Caleb.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's like
I didn't
Josiah San.
I didn't know you were actually like communicating with.
Oh yeah, we've got Japanese that are actually like at our facility. I mean, to the point where when I first got hired on, what was it? They were saying, I was like, hearing them just like talking on phone calls, and they kept saying, yeah, 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 yeah. And it just sounded like they were agreeing to people, but yeah is apparently like the way that they say yes. So they're just like saying yes to different things that, Dang. And so there's actually a decent number of Japanese that are there. But there's, so like if you're communicating with one of the Japanese, then you need to make sure that you say their name and then you include san. Okay. So if you're talking to them in person, or if you are like texting them or like emailing them or whatever, you say Kento-san,
So you're supposed to say that in person too.
Yes.
Whoa.
Because that's the respectful way to do it. So that's how they communicate to, Americans, as well as they say your name, san.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because there's one day I was just working and I got a text message on Teams.
Yeah.
And it said, "Hello, Caleb-san." And so that's my first clue. Like, this is, one of the Japanese that's texting me outside of like the name, obviously. But, so he was just checking in to get some clarification on something. And I was responding, trying to explain this to him. And then he goes, Can I just come by your desk? I was like, sure. And he apparently knew where my desk was, because shortly later, he kind of like tapped on my desk, and I turned around, and he's an Indian.
Oh!
And I was like, and I just like, we just went into the conversation as is,
But
and I'm thinking, the only thing that I can figure is like, he had a very strong Indian accent. And so he's literally from India. Yeah. But when he comes over here, he's working for a Japanese company, and they say Caleb-san. But so he must think that everyone does that. And so like he's doing that to the Americans too, but he's also Indian. And it was just like a funny mixture of, different cultures. Yeah.
So like he comes to really America and he's like, yeah, everybody does it. And you're like, no, actually nobody does it outside of here.
But it's totally cool. I appreciate the respect that everyone's trying to have for each other in the different cultures and stuff. I just thought it was really entertaining.
That is funny. So quick question. Did like onboarding, you first day,
no one told me that.
Oh.
No one told me that.
They just expect you to catch on.
Well, I don't remember exactly how it came up. I think I was just like putting an email together, and someone was saying, hey, you should include this person on there. By the way, they're Japanese. If you're addressing them, you need to make sure that you use the san afterwards, because that's the most respectful way. And I was like, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty funny. So the next anecdote is we have a group, like my boss is over our group, which is like probably 8 guys and girls. And so we have a group message on Teams where people will just like ask questions about like, hey, how do I find this information or whatever. Occasionally it's just like, hey, it's such and such's birthday or whatever. And recently this one guy messaged in there, Andrew, he messaged in there, and he was misspelling everything. And I was like, what is going on? And finally I figured out what he was trying to say was something like, that time when one of your major letters on your keyboard doesn't work and you have to copy and paste E's from now on.
Oh my gosh.
And all the entire text was missing E's. And I was just like, that's hilarious.
Dang.
Yeah.
Whoa, that'd be a pain.
Yeah. Yeah. Copy and pasting E's is like ridiculous to think about. The next one is
like largest used vowel.
Yeah. Yeah, really. The next one was I had messaged. So I have like these meetings that I have to set up and for spec reviews. And so I had set up this meeting, send it out to a bunch of people, and then they can forward it to anyone they want to forward it to if they think that it's relevant for this individual to join the meeting. So every time I send out one of these meetings, I get a ton of notifications like such and such forwarded it to such and such. And then I might get a notification that it says such and such accepted your invitation. Or sometimes such and such declined your invitation.
Oh, yikes.
Yikes.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah. And so there was this one time I sent it out. I had the meeting. I did the spec review. And then literally a week later, I get a such and such declined your meeting. And I'm thinking, this is like...
Very old news.
Yeah, I'm like thinking that this is for a meeting that's coming up.
Oh, okay.
And then I look at it, I'm like, this is literally a spec review that I had last week.
Yeah. And they were not there.
I don't know because it was on Teams and I don't know what they look like.
Oh, okay.
And no one has their cameras on or anything. So so I didn't know. But yeah, it just says Brian declined your invitation. And I'm just like, okay. And then no more than a minute later, I get a notification that says Brian forwarded your meeting invite to Caleb Bale.
What?
And then I got an email from Teams that said that like had the meeting invite to me, and I was like, I was like, what?
What is going on right now?
When someone forwarded a meeting invitation that was a week old to myself, my own meeting. And I never got the story.
You never did?
No, I never got the story because I don't know this individual. But I did screenshot it and I sent it to several people and I was like, this is interesting. And I just like underlined that this was like a week old and they forwarded it to me and they're like, huh.
How long ago was this?
It was probably like a month ago.
I feel like you should dig into it. You should just message the person and be like, hey, I actually think about this fairly often.
I literally told this.
Genuinely curious. What happened? What happened with this?
I talked about this on a podcast. I'd really like to just give you
the podcast link.
And you can comment.
You can
comment on it.
Yeah. Tell him. Yeah, once this releases, then tell him, please give me the answer to what happened
in a comment.
In a comment on the podcast.
Yeah, I like that. Oh boy. And then so my last one is.
Oh my gosh, I forgot there were 4.
Yeah, but it's short. So the way that Teams works is whenever something happens, it'll like put in a piece of history into the chat. So like if someone gets added, it'll say whoever got added to the chat. So I was looking for a piece of information. I sent someone a text and said, hey, can you help me with this? Or if you can't, please let me know who can help me with this. And then they responded, adding in Jared because I think he can help. And then it says, Jeff added Jared to the chat. And then when
somebody gets added in, can they see the previous conversation?
Yeah, the history can be shared with them. So it says, Jeff added Jared to the conversation. And then the immediate next line says, Jared exited the conversation. And I'm just like, what? So I took a screenshot of that and sent that to Todd. And
who's Todd?
He's just like he's not my boss, but he's basically like my mentor. So coming into the company.
Okay.
And so I sent it to him and I was just like, when the people who are supposed to be helping you don't want to help. It's just like, I'm going to exit here.
Did you get the story behind that? Why Jared just up and left?
No story.
Do you know the person very well who
I
entered
don't.
Jared?
No, I don't.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dude, you need some more follow-up behind this.
I know.
Just message the other guy, not Jared. Message the guy who entered Jared and say, so what?
What's Jared have against me?
Yeah, why does Jared hate my guts?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would literally be texting so many people on that thing. Like, it would not be good for me to have a devoted work text because I would just be like so curious about everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, meanwhile, I'm just like finding it entertaining just to see.
It is pretty funny just
the
to
kinds
see
of things
somebody entered a chat and then they're just like,
will text.
bye.
Yep. All right. I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I think I'm good with this. You can figure this out. So,
He probably wasn't even told at all by his friend or whatever.
yeah,
So
probably
he was
wasn't
just
given any
like-
context.
He's like, I'm added to this chat. I have no idea.
That probably
I'm
is.
just gone.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our work stories.
For now.
Yeah, for now.
More later.
Leave a 5-star review on all the places that you listen to podcasts.
And if it's 4-star, you better give us some good constructive criticism.
Yeah, Yep.
Or just leave us 5-star and tell
Give
us how to do
constructive
better.
feedback. Yeah. And then listen to it on YouTube and leave a comment, and we'll read your comment, provided that it's clean.
Yes.
All right.
See you guys.
Peace out.